Welcome to Real Boys.
We are pretty real.
We are real.
This is the most authentic
real.
you're going to get right now.
It's dangerously real. Imagine if the show was just called Real Boys, REAL, and it had nothing to do with cinemas, and we just sit here talking about like war.
War? Why did you jump to, I was thinking Pinocchio. Why did you jump to war?
Well, that's the realest we can get as human beings, really, when you think
To
about
take
it.
another man's life is the realest you can get?
It's just prison stories.
Well, that does fit in with Joker.
Yeah, it does fit in with Joker. Hello, Real Boys. This is a new show where myself and my friend here, Connor, who is newish. I mean, we stream together sometimes.
I've been around.
Yeah, you have been around.
I've appeared before.
Yeah,
here
in
and
content here and there, but nothing on like the main shows.
No.
So
You
Real
couldn't handle
Boys is a show that I'll be doing with Connor here, where we review. Or I guess that gives us too much credit.
There's too much. Well, I don't know. Speak for yourself.
Yeah, you are an expert.
My 6 years in the industry that I'm going to drop in there.
Connor comes from the industry. He's a veteran of the
somewhat of an
cinematic
expert
arts.
on films, you could say.
We'll be reviewing or talking about modern cinema, I guess, if that's what we want to call Joker, which is today's
It's a good start.
topic.
It's a really good start because I don't know how to start talking about that film. There's a lot that happened and somehow it said nothing.
All right, well, let's start off with the simples, right? The simple description of Joker. Joker, Folie A Deux.
Folie A Deux, yeah.
Folie A Dude.
Yeah, Flay a man. Why not?
Is a brand new series or brand new movie. I just spilled shit all over myself. A brand new movie from the mind of Todd Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
A sequel to the 2019 hit movie that made over $1 billion, Joker, starring, what's his name?
Joaquin Phoenix.
Walking Phoenix, and this one stars Lady Gaga. It was basically just Walking Phoenix in the first movie, right? It was just, I mean, there was like Zazie Beetz.
There was also Robert De Niro.
Oh yeah, of course.
Kind of an influential role where he got shot in the head.
Well, that was towards the end.
Yeah.
And, there was a little boy who played Bruce Wayne for a very...
I forgot about that connection.
Yeah.
I forgot that was there.
So yeah, they had to make the Batman connection, which is something that I appreciated about this second one, kind of.
What, the Harvey Dent role?
No, just that they didn't touch on Batman at all. I mean, I think you see like like Wayne Towers or something in the middle of the city.
Yeah, I think you do.
But that's it. There's nothing like... I felt like the first movie was kind of dumb where they had that whole scene with Joker like molesting Bruce Wayne through the fence.
That was like, thrown in out of nowhere, like this entire film.
Yeah.
With just musical scenes thrown in where you don't need it.
All right, well, I guess we're going to get straight into it in that way. How do you feel? Did you enjoy this movie?
I enjoyed it in all the wrong ways. I wouldn't watch the movie again. I wouldn't say it's a good movie, but I would say it's a great first watch despite somehow being very boring.
I think it's the movie that I have stopped and looked at the people sitting next to me the most ever out of any other movie.
I don't think more than 3 minutes passed without
but
us
we just
looking
looked at each other with smiles on our faces. Like we were in complete and utter joy over this movie.
Disbelief, I would say, instead of joy.
Yeah, that like what is happening? How is this a movie that that Warner Brothers paid $200 million for, I think it was?
200 million plus, I believe it was 150 million for marketing. So 350 total. Plus whatever else they're going to throw in there, as you do.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess since I spent most of my time looking at the people sitting next to me, including you and another friend we went to, I probably missed most of the movie just by laughing. But you were pretty engaged. So
I was pretty engaged.
Why don't you give me a quick rundown of the events, kind of like a synopsis, not too heavy on the spoilers, although I guess you can.
I mean, if you're here, you're gonna get it spoiled.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing to spoil in this movie anyway. Nothing.
There's a pretty big. Yeah, there's things to spoil.
Like what?
What do you mean? Spoilers. He gets shanked at the end and dies.
Oh yeah. I mean, I forgot about that. That's the main character got killed at the end of the film, and I forgot about it. That's the kind of movie that it is.
Yeah, there was like no level of emotional resonance with me when that happened. I was like, if you're trying to make the audience feel sad, we jump right to the end.
No, actually, let's go back to the beginning.
No, wait, I want to finish that thought.
Okay, yeah.
Like, what was the intention of the filmmaker there? What was the intention of Todd Phillips?
Well, there's a lot you could say that was the intention. The biggest being "fuck you" to the audience in DC, but
it does seem that was the intention. But like, I was sitting there, and all I could do was laugh when that happened.
when he got killed,
Yeah, when
you
he got
laughed
killed.
at his death.
Yeah, I was like,
That says a lot about society.
True. Real boys moment, laughing at death. No, but like
War.
if that's what your film brings out of me at the very end, in like the emotional catharsis moment of the film, is me laughing at your main character dying miserably in a prison hallway as blood pools around him. And
He's killed by the real Joker.
Yeah, as the life goes out in his eyes, then you failed as a filmmaker.
Yeah. I would say that was the good ending, actually, for Arthur Fleck.
Why?
Well, to bring it back to the start of the film and the first, the man's not well. He's not well. There was no good ending for him here.
So the good ending was him dying.
The good ending was definitely him dying.
It was
a prolonged 2.5 hour of like, let's just get it done with.
It really was an exercise in like almost torture porn elements of just, let's see how far we can fuck this guy over.
Yeah. I mean, okay, there's a lot you could say was the intention of the film, but starting with opening the film with him retracting from where he was at the end of the first, he's no longer the Joker. He's just kind of in a cell. He's no longer confident. He's just there and depressed and sad and had it beaten out of him.
Yeah.
I mean, it was always going to end poorly for him if the Joker was also a split personality apparently now.
Yeah, I think they kind of worked that into the first movie where it's clear, like with the whole Zazie Beetz, like he imagines that whole relationship with Zazie Beetz. There does seem to be some element
there
of
was that in the
like
first
multiple
film.
personality. So it's not outlandish to me to think that like the Joker is like a split personality of what's his name, Arthur Fleck. It's just, yeah, like you said, like he regresses so heavily from the end of the last film. It's such a tonal whiplash when he's just all meek and pathetic at the start of this movie.
Yeah, and on him being meek and pathetic, like the whole movie is this buildup of people that are like the fan of the film or of the Joker, waiting for the moment for him to become the Joker and let it all out. And then he does that for a total of
like 10 minutes.
2 minutes.
Until he literally...
Another spoiler.
Yeah, he literally gets... I can't even say it. The Joker gets the Joker like raped out.
The persona was built up to protect him when he was sexually abused. So then that persona gets sexually abused and it falls away.
Oh, interesting. I didn't even think about it in that way.
Well, that's the way I saw it.
The way that like probably he envisioned it as well.
Yeah, well, his shield got raped the way he was, so therefore it was no longer
important.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, Arthur Fleck was obviously abused when he was younger, sexually abused when he was younger. So he puts up the Joker persona to protect himself from that. And the psychiatrist woman talks about that a little bit in the movie.
The first like 45 minutes are kind of trying to establish that he has this split personality and that he shouldn't be put to death because he's just a mentally ill guy that needs help.
Yeah, which I disagree with.
You think the happy ending is him dying?
Well, no, I think he should have been killed through legal methods, not by another Joker.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
But like
radicalizing another and continuing the cycle.
I don't think having a split personality, like execute the split personality then, which I guess would be you as well. You still are that person.
Okay, well now we're getting into some metaphysics. How do you execute a split personality?
I still think you're responsible for your split personality's actions. Real boys.
Real boys. We get real here.
Yeah, so I feel like we've been a bit all over the place. So just give us.
I mean, the film's all over the place.
It is very much so over the place.
Yeah, so it opens with establishing the court trial, which is sort of the main branch of the film. It's mostly what happens.
Yeah, so the movie is split up into like 3 components, I would say, and they all kind of intersect into one another. There's life at prison, which involves the psychiatrist woman helping Arthur Fleck.
Yes.
And he's kind of friendly and then sexually assaultive relationship with the warden and the guards. Like they were friendly for like
Yeah,
a majority of the movie, and then he got raped because he called them fat.
Well, they were friendly in like an abusive prison guard way, but
It was nothing that I was like, oh yeah, this is clearly building up to like a conflict between them, which involves sexual assault. There was nothing that like prepared me for that.
It was a bit of a leap to go from like giving him a smack on the back of the head. Earlier in the film.
Also, when Arthur Fleck got a bit too touchy with the guard, like they were joking around, and then Arthur Fleck like
pretends he does something like you do to a friend, and the guard's like, "I'm not your friend."
Yeah, and then the guard gets annoyed that he touched him. Arthur Fleck touched him, so he like backhands him across the back of the head.
Yeah,
it's like don't do that. Which, yeah, fair enough, I guess.
Sure,
but then
it's like the 80s.
Yeah, but then like. Again, towards the end of the movie, Arthur Fleck, in his Joker moment at the courthouse, calls him fat, so they rape him.
So, yeah, it's a leap. It's a big leap.
It's like Todd Phillips knew like that there needed to be that element, but he just didn't know how to get there in a realistic,
the whole film
believable way.
Is a one big fuck you. It really is. There's just so much that doesn't make sense, and so much that's just kind of thrown in there as filler.
Oh yeah,
to get in between.
It's a 2.5 hour movie, and it feels like nothing happens.
Nothing happens. I went into this film, admittedly, excited about the musical aspect. I thought it could be a fun little change for like a really big film, and it's a character you wouldn't expect to have a musical. So with how insane he is, you could do anything for the musical set pieces, but every single set piece, except barring one, which hit like the bare minimum for what you do for a musical set piece, was incredibly boring and nothing happened.
Well, that's my main issue. Like I think of good musicals, and I like a lot of people hate musicals. I'd say middling on musicals. I like some musicals, and other times like it's subject matter.
This is the kind of movie that just doesn't do musicals any favor.
No, absolutely not. Like I think of good musicals, and I think of like La La Land, where like there's so much extravagance behind the scenes.
Yeah,
where it's entertaining to watch. It's basically like watching little music videos with a cohesive story that ties them all together. Whereas this, it was literally like the musical scenes. Let's say the scenes involving music were. Almost, I think all of them, apart from maybe like 3, were just static shots on a character's face,
kind of singing to each other.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like one example for, and this is when I audibly laughed because the audience like groaned when it happened.
Because a few, which one?
It was towards the end. Everyone was sick of the music by this point because not only were they boring tracks,
yes,
the scenes were boring, but they were now also like reusing music. The tracks already previously
they'd been reused multiple times. So we listened to the same track several times by this point. They weren't custom new songs either.
No,
like these were just old songs from other artists sung. It's not like a La La Land of like making new.
They weren't even original songs,
as far as I'm aware. Well, I mean, some of them might be. I could be wrong, but I know there are like songs in there that are from actual artists.
Yeah. Okay. That's wild. Then that's crazy. But regardless, yeah, this scene, Arthur Fleck is in the prison. He's got like his last call or whatever. He's got a call that he can make to a loved one before a court trial or whatever. I don't remember the emotional impact of the scene.
Yes.
But up until this point, he had been in a weird relationship with Lady Gaga's character, which is
her Harley Quinn.
Quinn, what was her name? Quinzel?
It was just Harley Quinzel, like the name.
I know it's meant to be Harley Quinn, but he called her something different throughout the movie.
He called her Lee, just short for Harley.
Yeah. Okay. So he calls Lee, who is now upset at him because he basically forsake the Joker persona.
The Joker persona, yeah,
in the courtroom. So he was calling her like, "Hey, please come to my sentencing hearing. I need someone there on my side. I need to see you." So he calls her. She doesn't pick up, and then the camera just like zooms on in his face slowly as he starts singing the song that they had sung to each other a million times up to this point. And then the moment I laughed so fucking hard was when the camera hard cuts to Harley Quinn.
Smash cut.
And she pulls up a gun to her head and is about to blow her braids out while the recording of him singing is in the background.
Yeah, that's about how the audience felt.
That's how the audience felt. That's why I feel like there's some level of the director knowing, like, I feel like it's self-sabotage almost.
Well, with all the behind the scenes stuff, yeah, it's absolutely intentional. There's no other way to put it.
He got a let's say a $400 million budget, because usually you take a movie's budget and then double it with advertising. So $400 million for this movie. Obviously, he didn't make that, but he made a lot of money from this. He probably got paid a crazy amount of money.
I believe it was about 20 million, 50 million. Yeah, somewhere
probably
between
around
20 to
that
50.
for him, for the director, Todd Phillips.
12 million for, I think, Gaga herself.
And either he comes in with this like fart sniffing attitude where he thinks he can do no wrong because he's made the previous movie, which made $1 billion, and he's like, I'm obviously enlightened beyond reproach. I know the Joker, guys. I know the Joker.
He knows what he's doing.
I know what to do. You guys don't know the Joker. I know the Joker. Who else has made $1 billion on the Joker? Apart from Christopher Nolan.
A few others.
Yeah. So he's like, he has that air of superiority around him. Or he comes in with that paycheck and he's like, I want to burn it all to the ground, which admittedly is like the most Joker thing you could possibly do.
Well, reading all the behind the scenes, burning it to the ground kind of seems to be the intention of what was happening. There was just a lot of, I don't want to say bad blood, but like intentional misleading or like leaving out of James Gunn, and I think Peter Safran is the other man's name.
He left them out of the
new
conversations.
DC heads weren't at all involved because he was close with, I believe, the Warner Brother heads themselves, like other than the DC heads.
Oh, so the fucking nerds at the top, the pencil pushers, not the creative direction.
And they were kind of like, well, you know, you did great, do what you want. And since he's got that approval, he's left out DC Studios and just gone ahead and
done whatever he
wanted to do.
So that might be my former thing now, where he's like, he actually thinks this is good high art kind of stuff.
I mean, if I bring up all the notes I saved and read through them again, you could probably figure it out. But it's a hard line between both, where he kind of seems to be sticking it to DC and James Gunn and just saying fuck you.
Well, yeah, I guess it could be both.
But then also just being like, I know better.
Yeah. It could be a matter of like, everyone's gonna hate this, but this is actual art.
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, making a sequel to Joker isn't like an envious position. I don't think it's a sequel you could have really done.
I don't
well
think
it didn't need one.
It didn't need a sequel.
So going for like that art housey, you don't really know what you wanted outlook was certainly a choice.
And I think the audience had expectations for some reason. I mean, because it's the Joker going into this, where it was like the Joker's just going to spend the entire movie being cool and edgy and fucking shit up.
Well, the way I saw it, knowing how the last film ended with him, you know, in like that burning city, all his supporters.
Well, it didn't end.
Well, no, it ended with him, but near the end, it had him in like the burning city. He's got all the supporters. Yeah. He's like got that persona going. I really thought this film would be somehow Gaga and him get out of the prison. And then you've got the whole musical aspect and the like altered reality of his insanity to just go wild with the musical set pieces, the whole city to run with. But instead, it was just set in the same four walls for the whole film. And it didn't do anything. The one interesting musical piece is them actually escaping the prison, because it was like a running...
There was some kind of momentum to it.
Burning building, momentum, they're escaping, are they going to get caught or not?
Yeah, like the prison's on fire in the background. There's nice lighting, there's effective like use of environmental storytelling in a way that kind of couples with the song, whereas everything else... I think there was one other track that I kind of... I didn't like the track. I liked the way it was shot, and it was kind of like a callback to really old musicals where it's kind of like set on the roof of a building in the night, and there's like a fake moon in the background and shit like that, and there's some element of like
the stage play musical,
kind of not the other stage ones where it's just in a jazz club. I found that ridiculously boring and overplayed. But this particular one on the rooftop with the moon in the background, and they kind of like do a what I could best describe as like a old timey Broadway dance with one another, where they like, you know, Joker lifts her over his head and the ballroom dancing basically. That was nice. At least that one, how it was shot, and it, you know, I could see that they put effort into the set and stuff. Every other time,
kind of just happened. Or it was a blank room.
Again, blank room. There's like, it didn't feel like there was any, and it's all in. A lot of the songs are in Joker's head, so they don't even have the excuse of like, well, we got to work in the confines of a prison. It's in Joker's head. It could be crazy.
I hate how it was left in this. I mean, I told you after we left the movie, I was saying the Joker is obviously mentally unwell, and for the first minute or two of his like first song in the like that prison meeting where he's like been told he's going to die,
Yeah.
and was just watching the TV, and he starts singing in front of everyone, and I thought, oh, that's really cool. It's like the music section's not like in his head, or he's just insane, so he's doing it.
Yeah.
And it's like you can react in real time with all the actual characters. But then no, it just went back to the regular musical of like, oh, actually, it was all just imagined, and everyone's going, Arthur, are you there? Are you zoned out right now?
Yeah, he's just imagining him walking around.
Yeah,
like
but
that.
then it didn't even commit to him being everything in his head and him being
no, because
insane.
then later on he does actually sing in real life and shit like that.
Yeah.
What we assume.
There was just all this random back and forth of non-committal, boring scenes, the same songs.
I would have preferred if it was the musicals were all in his head, because you could do
So
could
much
do
more set
crazy
pieces.
stuff in his head, obviously, and then still tell a cohesive and effective story outside of the musicals. Like use the musical elements to add to the story that's being told underneath, and it makes sense for his character as well because he's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Um,
There's a scene near the end of the film which simultaneously I think is probably one of the most useless scenes in the movie that you could remove, and also the best shot and most interesting part of the movie.
what one's that?
The bomb's explosion. Spoilers. There's a bomb goes off in the courthouse, and
Yeah, the $200 million bomb.
for a moment I thought it had been Harley Quinn, I don't know, doing something interesting, but it was really just there for the trailer.
True, yeah. I thought it was all in his head initially.
Yeah, that too. There's this whole I forget, it might have been one take of him walking out of the courthouse.
If it was, that was the laziest one take.
Yeah, it's him walking out of the courthouse, walking through smoke. He sees like a fan in full Joker makeup that abducts him, puts him in the taxi, and they're driving away. And the whole thing was like 20 minutes of padding just to add out the movie, because nothing changed regardless of what you could have just cut from like the bomb going off to him being back in prison, and nothing changed.
I think that it served to show like he realized the Joker has done nothing for him, and in fact it's made things worse.
Well, yeah, he doesn't exist in the eyes of his fans, just his persona.
It's just the persona. That's the whole crux of the movie, is like no one sees Joker. Sorry, no one sees Arthur Fleck. They only see Joker. And
I wish I hadn't seen Joker.
yeah, true. You've lost the person, and he comes to understand and realize how sad that is. Which again, that's why I'm like, this is torture porn movie, because
Yeah,
the person underneath, this weak, feeble, mentally ill man, just gets the shit kicked out of him the entire 2 movies, basically.
yeah, it's 2 movies of just beating a mentally ill man.
Yeah, I
and
get-
saying, "Wow, society sucks."
Yeah, so that was like, first of all, that's not like a crazy message, or like, whoa, I can't believe that message exists in a movie. That's like very base level shit.
It's very basic.
So I didn't come out of the movie thinking like, whoa, that was a compelling message the movie left me with, or anything. I just left thinking, that was depressing. And also, I laughed at moments where I shouldn't have laughed. Like,
I didn't even find this one depressing. The first movie had that overwhelming dread and depression throughout all of it. That kind of you left the movie feeling down and sad, and you were at least thinking about it. Whereas I didn't feel sad once in this film. There was maybe a 2-minute scene where I was like, "Oh, that's pretty rough," but the rest of it was just comedy.
Well, that's what I kind of mean. Like, there were moments in vacuum where you would be like, if it was in a competent movie, you'd be like, holy shit, this is depressing.
Yeah.
But then it undercuts itself by the rest of the movie being ridiculously stupid and like unintentionally funny at its expense. So the entire movie you're laughing and you don't have time. There's no real effective use of that.
What was it that happened in the
Sadness.
movie? There was that hard cut to him getting slammed into a wall in the
That was so
gulag and
funny.
rolling down the stairs.
Yeah.
Like he's getting abused, and I laughed out loud in the cinema.
Like, yeah, he gets the prison guards like throw him down this cartoonishly long flight of
Yeah,
stairs.
they put him in
solitary.
Yeah.
And then and then Lee shows up and has
Also
sex.
rapes him.
No, it wasn't rape. That wasn't rape.
Well, it was it wasn't. But it was also under a different. He thought she was a different person there for different reasons. She had lied to him the whole time.
Well,
while
yeah.
she was there.
So Lee's whole thing is obviously she's like everyone else. She's also mentally ill, and she worships the Joker. I think she's meant to be like a stand-in for those groupies that like go after serial killers and stuff.
She is a stand, like the most basic stand-in for anyone that watches true crime series and it gets obsessed with serial
With the
killers
actual serial
and,
killers.
Yeah, removes that whole people died aspect to it and just more, wow, look at this. That's
Look at
crazy.
this powerful person. I'm attracted to something powerful. Yeah, and so she's a stand-in for that. So she loves the Joker, but to do that, she has to be with Joker. She has to also deal with Arthur Fleck, the depressing, miserable, mentally ill man who
no one wants to deal with.
No one wants to hang out with. No one invites him to their parties or anything like that. So she has sex with him, and the entire movie she's kind of like
stringing him along to push him to be more Joker.
Yeah, she's kind of like a bad influence in that
Baby
sense.
traps him.
But she's pretty direct as well with him. She's like always talking about the Joker and stuff.
She is pretty straightforward. I mean, her character is the most straightforward, but also makes no sense.
No.
I mean, she's just this violently ill person that walks around Gotham, breaking and entering, throwing things into shops to steal the TV.
Yeah.
Even though once she steals the TV, it no longer works and is broken itself. And just gets away with crime for no reason and isn't punished and just is all of a sudden a public figure that everyone knows and respects.
Yeah.
And she's allowed in the courtroom.
Because she's Joker's girlfriend, I guess. But like, how is she allowed in the courtroom?
Yeah.
How is she allowed in the... How did she get in the solitary cell with him?
She mentioned I think she gave a favor to the... it's implied she like fucked the guard or something or did something for a guard to let her down there.
Right, okay. So she's invincible. She just gets everywhere she wants.
The first 20 minutes, I was kind of invested in her character. I was like, let's see what happens here. And then after that, there's no explanation for why she's anywhere. She just appears.
She's a force of nature, and she only exists kind of just to be the tool that gets Joker to do...
To just push the story forward.
Push the story forward. There's nothing really interesting about Lee. And I think Lady Gaga, which is crazy to me, I think Lady Gaga is like heavily underutilized in the role.
For a musical, yeah.
There was nothing there. There was no moment where I was like, holy shit, that range. That's
she
crazy.
was also reportedly signed on for the movie before the script was written. So you'd think if you haven't read the script and you've got Lady Gaga, you could work a lot around that.
What other movies was Lady Gaga in?
Recently, she's done House of Gucci.
Oh, I hated that.
Yeah, we also watched that. That wasn't great.
Another weird sex scene in that one where Adam Driver plows Lady Gaga.
Yeah, she seems to do those on tables.
Yeah.
It's just her thing.
Very uncomfortably shot sex scenes, just like in Joker.
Yeah, her two big ones are Star is Born and House of Gucci, I think.
Star is Born, I haven't seen it, but that's the one that everyone
seen
loves.
Star is Born?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, wow.
And everyone loves it. So that's the only movie that I think she's in that has been well received. Every other movie's kind of been like House of Gucci and now Joker.
I think she's been well received in most of her things.
In this, I feel like that's cope. She was like fine.
I don't think anyone could do more than fine given the script of this movie.
Yeah, I don't know. I just wasn't impressed by like. Again, it's probably an issue with the songs, but I feel like
the songs weren't good. They were not good. That's
yeah, I guess. There was another scene towards the end where Joker finally he escapes from the prison after that bombing at the jail cell or the prison the courtroom. He escapes from the explosion. Some fans pick him up and they drive him down the street. They're like, "Yeah, we just blew that building up for you, Joker. Fuck yeah, yeah, hell yeah." And then Joker's like, "You guys are weird."
Yeah,
no, Joker. Arthur Fleck is like, "You guys are weird. I'm leaving." So he opens the door, runs down the street, and they chase after him. And they're like, "I love you.
Please, I love you. Come back,
Joker. I love you."
And then he goes to the iconic Joker stairs.
Yeah,
where
the Joker stairs.
Lady Gaga's Harley Quinn.
She lives there, I guess.
She's waiting. She had bought the apartment there. She did live there. She bought his apartment.
Okay,
so they could start their life once he got.
Because she's a creepy woman. So yeah, he climbs the stairs And he's like, "Oh yay, we're together now. We can leave, Lady Gaga. We
And
can go
she's
start a
so
life."
disappointed
Yeah,
in him.
she hates him now because he's given up on the Joker
She
or
hates him
whatever.
for giving up on Joker and forsaking that life.
But then the funniest thing happened
She
where
starts to sing.
no, he starts to sing. He starts to sing to her, doesn't? Oh no, you're right.
She
starts
singing,
to sing to him,
and he
the same song that we've heard 100 times before. By
yeah,
this
a
point.
wonderful 7th rendition.
Yeah.
In the last 20 minutes,
And then the joke that Arthur Fleck is like begging her to stop singing. He's like, "Please stop singing. Just talk to me."
I've never seen a cinema crowd so in unison with
Yeah.
the character on the screen, all in agreement, saying, "Yeah, please stop singing."
It's so funny when again, it seems like the director knows how.
That was the big fuck you. Like,
Yeah.
I know how you feel, and I'm gonna keep it going.
It's so stupid.
It was quite the ride. And then from there, that is what I was on about with the whole 20 minutes of just the explosion for the trailer, and then 20 minutes of nothing, because then he's just thrown back in jail. Nothing has changed.
Yeah.
It was, kind of just a useless, randomly thrown in scene. But also, it is what I wanted from the movie going in, was him and her going throughout the city, doing out there set pieces in songs. And I mean, you've got like a 1980s Gotham in the minds of two madmen where you could have done anything, and they haven't. They stuck it inside one badly lit, overly colorized prison.
It was shot fine. Like the actual cinematography was fine. There was no issues there. Obviously. It was just boring. There was no style to it.
It was boring.
There was no style or anything interesting to it. It was just, like you said, just the same prison walls or courtroom setting for the entirety of the movie. There was only one scene that I can point to that I guess kind of liked, and it was the only scene that showed any level of emotion. It's when the small Gary Puddles, I think his name was.
Yeah, Gary Puddles,
which is
coming
a
to
character
the
from
stage.
the first movie.
The small man that was his neighbor, I believe.
Yeah, or co-worker.
Co-worker, that's right.
And Arthur in the first movie, or Joker, kills the abusive co-worker in front of him and then lets Puddles out.
Yeah.
So he's a witness.
For context for his scene, there had been the film prior to this, he had been represented by a lawyer, and then at this moment he decided, you know what, the lawyer's not doing it for me, I'm going to adopt the Joker personality, and then decides to show up in full Joker makeup to court, and then give a foghorn, leghorn accent.
Which was fun. I like that.
I did enjoy that. His court scene with the
That was
accents.
the only scene. That entire scene was the only scene I enjoyed because it showed some level of fun.
It was fun. It was stupid and fun, and I was laughing, but it was a laugh I thought was earned compared to everything else.
Absolutely. And I also think that there was the emotional element. Like Gary Puddles pulled it off pretty well. Like
his actor did pretty good.
Yeah, he brought that emotional element to the role. He's like, Arthur, you're the only one that ever was nice to me. Surely you're still in there or whatever. And you see it kind of like break through the Joker persona.
It broke through the
for a
Joker
little
persona for a bit, which that I enjoyed. That was an aspect that was good, and then it was kind of just abandoned again.
Yeah, again.
But also, speaking of the court scene and the message of the film, the judge presiding over all of it, it just felt, I don't know, maybe I could be reaching here.
I know what you're going to say.
But it felt purposeful that the judge looked like a director of a film that everyone claimed the first movie ripped off.
I thought you were going to go a different direction. Okay.
No, the first film looks exactly like the director of Taxi Driver, who was then beaten in the head with a mallet.
Yeah.
Okay. Kind of feels like a fuck you to the people that made those criticisms.
I mean, to be fair, Todd Phillips did accomplish giving credit to those people who came up with the theory that the first movie was just a ripoff of Taxi Driver, because that movie was brilliant, Joker was brilliant, and now that he's got nothing to rip off, this movie sucked.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true.
Yeah,
it's very true. I mean, what could you have ripped off to make La La Land?
Yeah, La La Land. I would have preferred that. Yeah,
an actual romance through the city. I don't know what other musical.
Like the Joker's a struggling pianist. Hamilton.
Remake Hamilton with the Joker.
I don't know. I think conceptually, probably just a poor mix.
I was so excited for the musical aspect too,
because it could have been good. The only track that I liked was a song when Joker's coming back from from the courtroom to the prison, and it's just a song on the radio, a popular song from like the 2000s or whatever. Which is again, I pointed to you. I can't remember the song, but there's a modern song that plays. I'm pretty sure it's from the 2000s. Not sure what it is. It plays on the radio.
I'd love that if it was a 2000 song because isn't it set in the 80s?
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
it's very clearly this is a Gotham in like the 70s,
it's like
maybe
1987 or something.
Yeah, it's in the 80s. It was very old. This song was like from the 2000s at the latest. And I was like, okay, well, they're just putting it on top for emotional impact. It's not actually in the movie. But then he gets out of the car and you can hear it kind of like fade away into an echo.
Yeah.
So it's clearly coming from the radio in the car.
The time moves different in Gotham.
So that song is canon in Gotham as well.
Yeah, I hope it was Backstreet Boys or something.
It wasn't. I can't remember what it was. It might have been Bittersweet Symphony, but I'm not sure. I don't remember.
I don't remember. I'll look it up. But there was God, there's just so much that went wrong with this movie.
So much. All right. So what do you think about how do you feel about the actual acting of Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga primarily?
There were scenes where Joaquin showed that he is good at what he does. I mean, his court scene...
He's undeniably a good actor. Switching
back and forth in that court scene between Arthur and Joker and doing about, I think, 2 or 3 different accents in that 10 minutes. And there was some scenes later on where he was really... I mean, he's from the first film. He's got that disability where he laughs hysterically.
Really didn't happen. It happened maybe...
No, it happened a few times.
It happened when he was standing out in the rain.
Yeah.
I don't remember what happened before that. All I know is he was chained up like a dog to a post in the rain.
Pole and crying, but laughing.
Was he happy at that point or was he sad?
No, he had just had something tragic happen that I cannot remember because the film's a blur.
Yeah, okay. So something happened. He was standing outside. He did that laugh. And then the other time...
No, he'd just been told he was going to get executed.
Oh, yeah.
That would do it.
Okay, so that happened. And then another time...
there was later on after Lee left him.
Okay.
And then at some point during the trial itself, he was pretty emotional about that as well.
Okay. So I guess it did happen. It's just, it had more of an impact in the first movie, I'd say.
Yeah, because it was sort of it was a plot point in the first one.
Yeah.
Where, you know, he had the whole card saying, please forgive me, but it's a
disability.
It's a disability. And then in this one, it kind of just happened here and there to kind of emphasize when he was feeling really bad. And I mean, yeah, Joaquin can act. He can act. He just didn't have a lot to act with.
Yeah.
But also, have you seen Walk the Line?
No.
His Johnny Cash film?
No.
He can sing in that. He can do great in that. But in this, I felt like his singing was left a lot to be desired.
It was raspy and kind of like annoying, grating to listen to.
I don't know if it was an intentional choice and he's thinking this is how Arthur would sing and therefore
I would say that was it. Like
knowing Joaquin as a person, well, I don't know him as a person, but
you're inside the industry.
I'm in the industry. Knowing him as a person, perhaps he made that choice. But
art first.
Yeah, but he can really sing and Walk the Line, so I don't know. And then, I mean, Gaga had...
To be fair, it does make more sense to sing well in a movie that's a biography of Johnny Cash.
Well, yeah.
Whereas this is like... yeah, it would be that. Like,
yeah, okay.
He's like...
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Arthur Fleck can't sing, so I won't sing. Which, again, is just an awful concept for a musical. Then.
What if the main character just cannot sing, has no charisma, and is in a prison cell?
No riz.
None at all. Well, actually, he did. He did... have Riz because he got with Gaga. Somehow.
Joker had Riz.
Yeah,
not really.
No. Their first scene where they meet.
He didn't even call her Toots.
No, he didn't, did he?
Which is a very Joker thing.
You'd think he would have.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that is the whole point of the film as well. Joker was never Joker.
Yeah.
He was never Joker.
You fools.
You fools.
You believe the guy named Joker was Joker?
What was it? This film's script, or Todd Phillips himself said, Arthur was never Joker, but then the script of the first one says Arthur is the Joker now. So, you know.
I get the idea that he wasn't the actual Joker.
It was a random man in prison.
He inspired the Joker eventually. So that's where we come to the ending of the movie where Joker is killed by the Joker. And I don't mean in like a multiverse kind of DC thing where like the Joker from Christopher Nolan movies like portals in and stabs
They pulled out Heath Ledger's corpse.
Yeah. No, it's just some random dude. And remember, early in the movie, there's like some
Throughout the
close-up
film,
shots.
there's-
It happened like 2 times.
No, like 4 or 5 times. But honestly, that's like a negative. 4 or 5 times is a random cut to a random character. No explanation,
Nothing.
no name, no relationship to him.
He's just kind of watching.
It's just his reaction to something. And you're meant to kind of just be like, why is this man here? And then you don't even really get a sense of what he's feeling. There's no real emotion of like...
he's just watching.
There's no disappointment or joy in anything he does. He just watches Arthur until the end where he approaches Arthur as he's walking up to go visit someone. He has a visitor in prison. And then he walks up behind Arthur, asks if he can give him a joke, and then makes a joke about Arthur being a disappointment before just shanking him repeatedly.
Yeah, he basically tells like a similar joke than one Arthur did
made
to
in the
Murray.
first film.
Yeah, it's like
pretty much retreads
mimics that, and then he's like, "You get what you fucking deserve."
Yeah,
or whatever, and
and
he
then
stabs him in the.
out of focus in the background as the music crescendos and the film ends, he cuts the smile into his own face and then starts laughing.
Yeah,
And it's
You're like,
like,
"Oh my God."
whoa, it's the Joker.
that's the joke. Is this set in the Robert Pattinson Batverse?
No.
Okay, good.
Thank God for that.
Yeah, thank God. Thank fucking God.
They'd have Barry Keoghan in there.
All right.
Keoghan.
All right, so yeah, that was dumb.
That was just out of nowhere.
yeah, it was so stupid.
I've got to hand it to a film named Joker. It did make me laugh.
Yeah, it was a good joke. What else was there?
There was the opening animatic, the whole 2-minute animation, which I mean, pretty much detailed the story of the film.
Yeah.
Is that the ghost of Joker, his
the
shadow,
shadow
leaves him and sort of becomes its own persona that everyone focuses on more, and then bullies him and leaves him behind.
Well, basically, like he gets tied up in the Joker's mess as well. Like, remember at the end of that
Yes.
animatic, he's the Joker does some crime on the stage. I think it's a recreation of the Murray bit.
It pretty much recreates the Murray bit.
So it's on the sound stage, and then the police come in, and instead of just going after the Joker symbol, which is split off personality, which is split off from Arthur's character, they're both like dancing together. The police come in and beat up both of them, and then drag them both away. So Arthur's like,
Caught up in it.
Yeah.
It was, I mean,
Which again, I disagree with. Execute both of them.
execute, get rid of them both.
We don't have multiple personality rights or whatever. Where because this other part of my personality did it, then
I was in
I'm
for a
not
ride
responsible.
because personally, I will always argue that films trying to be pretentious or someone saying a film's pretentious is like whatever. A pretentious film can be fun. At least it's trying to do something. 20 seconds into that animatic, I thought this is pretentious and trying to be over the top and stupid in the worst way possible.
the movie was extremely pretentious.
It was, yeah.
That's why I do think that like he thought that it was good.
I don't know if he thought it was good or if he just thought it was I've got mine, like screw you kind of scenario. I don't know. There's just man, I don't know.
I just don't think he
The
would
whole
have.
film is one big I don't know.
I don't think he would have sabotaged his Hollywood career doing that.
I don't know. He was on a ranch while it was being premiered. And I mean, if you've got a ranch, do you really need a Hollywood career?
True. Yeah. He's good. He's good.
He's good to go.
What else do we have? Anything else?
I mean, there's not a plot to run through. There's not much that happens other than
Well, we already have kind of.
Yeah,
We've gone through the entire movie.
the whole plot is that he goes to court to say, "Hey, like I'm split personalities," gets raped, realizes that there are no split personalities. It's just him.
Or if there is a split personality and he's using this other thing. It was definitely like a conscious decision to use the Joker as a shield. It wasn't like a split personality in the sense that like it took over him or something and he didn't have any memory of anything that happened. He tries to lie that, but it's very clear that like it's just a part of his personality that he turns on to protect himself.
I've got to say the court scenes with Harvey Dent. I mean, the Harvey Dent, I just wasn't a fan of. I don't know. I've never seen that.
Dude, I rolled my eyes so hard when the bomb goes off, and sure, they didn't like gratuitously show it, but he's in the background with like half his face burned. And I'm like, oh my God, I get it.
Yeah, that just felt like a box being ticked.
Yeah.
But also the whole court section just felt, I mean, I'm not opposed to main characters in a film kind of like being destined to lose something, but It's 2 hours of a 2.5 hour film where you're in a court knowing that he is going to lose this. He has no.
There's no possible defense.
There's no
He's
possible defense.
halfway through, he like fucked off the only person trying to actually help him.
Yeah, but then
For some Harley Quinn pussy.
yeah. Every time that there was a scene where someone felt sympathetic towards him in court, it felt like the most ham-fisted, we've just got to throw in something from some character or say something that's vaguely sympathetic to have the jury go, oh, well, maybe he's not so bad.
Yeah, actually, no jury shots really of like their reactions to what was happening.
No, they actually no. Also, yeah, they just didn't really care about the jury. There was a single scene where he spoke to them, and then someone in the jury stands up and says like, "Oh, we find you guilty." But there was no. They didn't play off the jury or the actual court aspect of it.
Yeah,
it was just a predetermined loss,
which is weird considering the fact that it seemed like there was a lot of support for Joker. Like, there's so many crowd shots outside.
Yeah,
there's so many people. Like, they let in like half the Joker fans to the audience in the courtroom setting.
They had a full Amber Heard versus Johnny Depp situation, like going on about how it's a rare precedent to record and film this and have it be live, and all the supporters. They didn't really play off this. The whole message of the film also being that, well, one of the supposed whole messages of the film being that like Joker is the figure everyone likes, not Arthur. He's got all these supporters, and they didn't do anything with the supporters. They were just there.
Well, they did in the sense that they blew up the building and let him out.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's it. They let out the Joker just to have him get killed.
Yeah. To have him reject them, run off, and then like that's it. Kind of. Yeah.
I mean, Jordan, the other person we watched it with, when we walked out, we were like, "What did you think?" And he just said, "It's boring."
Yeah.
That's probably the greatest crime a film could commit, is to just be boring.
Like, how do you make with $400 million, let's say, with Lady Gaga, Walking Phoenix? How do you make a boring musical set in the DC Joker universe?
Set in a court of law, and 4 prison walls.
There was no kind of like. It didn't feel like there was any inspiration or like style to it.
No,
that's the biggest issue.
There's no,
and it could have been cut down again. Like nothing happened. It could have been like a 30-minute short film.
It could have been.
It should have been. There was like nothing of. There was so many repeated scenes of things that we had already established and known about.
It went from. There were multiple points where we looked at each other because it went from musical to musical to musical with no sort of meaning or intention behind these musical scenes. They weren't saying anything. It was just padding time with another musical.
Yeah.
And I know there's people out there that enjoy the film or will see something in it, but like,
do people enjoy the film? I feel like
I've seen a lot of people arguing that everyone just doesn't get it.
No, we get it.
No, I get it.
It was
like,
just boring.
I'm more than happy to admit that there are bad films that I enjoy because I found something in it, but I also freely admit it's a bad film I just happen to enjoy. If you like Joker 2, that's fine, but it's a bad movie.
I will say, like, one of the most annoying things I've seen about the Joker hate crowd is the people that have been like, what was it like? They treat the Joker like it's their hero, basically. Like
he's not a hero.
No, he's not meant
he's
to
not
be
even
a
an
hero.
anti-hero.
Yeah, he's just a villain.
Horrible.
He's not someone you should worship. They're like, you made the Joker lame. He's not lame. Like, yeah, I get that it was you probably like mean that it was a boring film, but if you're taking actual inspiration from the Joker and you just wanted to see him like blow up buildings and kill pregnant women, I don't know.
Being disappointed that the first Joker ended with him adopting that persona and then not having him do it, or, you know, he gives up on it on the second film. I can see why you'd be disappointed. But if you're one of those people going in like, why isn't he bombing children's hospitals?
Well, it's like, it's more so the worship of the character.
The worship of the character, which is
people
the point
with like
of the film.
People with like Joker profile pictures.
Yeah, like, just quote him. All the time
you clearly
go on about how chaos is a ladder and they love.
It's just, what's the fucking meme? Society.
Yeah, society. We live in a society.
Yeah, we live in a society.
We live in a society. We do.
Like, there are actual people out there that do take on the Joker persona. Like, we see it on like TikTok and stuff. Like, people there was one fucking hilarious TikTok from a few years back, hilariously creepy, where some girl's at like her 9-to-5 job, like some minimum wage job, and she's like covertly filming her co-worker who's like doing the Joker laugh to her, or like acting like the Joker, like seriously, earnestly, like he's taken on this personality. And it's like, if that's what you're taking from the movies, is that Joker was so cool in the first movie, then you've got problems.
It's a rite of passage to dress up as the Joker really badly for Halloween. and then
Halloween. That's
get bullied.
Yeah, that's
It's-
completely different.
It's a rite of passage.
It's if you're dressing up as a Joker on any day that doesn't end in ween, then you have
Yeah,
a
okay.
problem.
Yeah. If you own a purple suit, I'm concerned for you.
There's no reason to wear a purple suit other than to wear.
Purple's
be
my favorite
Joker.
color, but the Joker limits me, unfortunately. It's just I don't know what else to talk about with this movie.
Well, didn't you have some notes from
I can
facts
bring
and
up
stuff?
like the creation and the behind the scenes of this film. Because there's a lot of Lady Gaga actively trying to avoid association with the film because it's just
They had to have known. There's no way that they're so up their own asses that they didn't know after, especially after seeing the final cut. They're like, "Holy shit, this stinks."
yeah. Okay, yeah. So it gets into Lady Gaga is avoiding it because the film's so bad.
There was a video I saw of Lady Gaga and Walking Phoenix at some film festival. It might have been like Cannes or something, where they got a standing ovation because they
Yeah,
always
but
do.
I believe it was a 4-minute standing ovation, which is basically the Cannes version of "fuck you."
It's like, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
4 minutes, Jesus Christ!
Yeah,
it's still so
you get
long.
like Dune 2, we get like a 30-minute standing ovation.
Oh, fuck
somehow.
off! They're so pretentious.
Yeah, I love
wankers.
it. I love it.
Yeah. So she's like, Walking Phoenix is like talking to her, and then he just leaves, and like people are lip reading, and he's like, apparently he said like, "This movie sucks," and then he just leaves. Which I don't know how much I believe it, but that's what people.
I don't really
say.
believe that. Allegedly, Todd Phillips wanted nothing to do with DC during the making of the film, says an agent familiar with him. And he somehow had some behind the scenes way to bypass any oversight from the brand has gatekeepers, and apparently he could bypass them to just do.
Well, they all have like all these comic book universes have gatekeepers. Like Marvel has like a team that's like to Sony, like, yeah, you can't do this with our characters that we own. So DC would have, but this is a movie by DC and Warner Brothers. So you wouldn't need to bypass it because you are the team.
Well, yeah, that's very true. There's other insiders saying the first movie, if it was just like about some down on his luck mentally ill guy, it'd make about 150 million worldwide. Everyone showed up because it was the Joker to make $1 billion, and therefore I don't know, maybe Todd Phillips felt the IP got away from him because it wasn't his film anymore. It was like the Joker's film. So then this is like a big, well, actually screw you to the Joker. I don't know.
I have seen that, like, where people think that it's a fuck you to the audience for taking the Joker and kind of misconstruing Todd's intentions with the original movie.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I still think that he kind of did that in the first movie. Like for most of that movie, Joker is a pathetic character. And even at the end, like, again, I don't think you should be worshipping the Joker after he kills Murray. I think you're still meant to think he's pathetic. And just like society, I think he's been pretty consistent with how he views the Joker, is what I'm trying to say, Todd. So I don't think that it's necessarily him saying fuck you to the audience. If you feel that way, that's completely fine. But I don't think it's that. I think it's literally just that the second movie, he had a shocking concept for it, which was musical in a prison.
Came to Joaquin in a dream.
Yeah. And then also he had no movie to rip off as well.
He had no movie to rip off.
Yeah, so there was no substance or style kind of.
It's the details of the behind the scenes drama that when you get down to it, I'm like, what was his intention here? Because there's a lot of alleged things that happened, like filming in, I believe, Los Angeles itself, which is infinitely more expensive than if they had gone to, I believe, London or wherever the hell else they have the setup.
See, that to me speaks of like ego.
Yeah, that's true. Because it's just needless extra money you could spend.
Which is bad for Warner Brothers since they have had, apart from Dune, like bomb after bomb after bomb after bomb. Like all of their
Christopher
DC
Nolan
movies,
leaving, movies bombing.
all of their movies apart from Joker, I think, bombed, including now Joker 2.
Yeah. And then also the whole David Zaslav, however you say his last name, situation of just writing off films with tax write-offs and just saying screw you to creatives.
I mean, but in
They
this
needed
one
a
case
win.
where he didn't say screw you to creatives, we got Joker 2.
Well, I mean, are you going to say no to the guy that gave you 3 hangovers and Joker? You're not. You're going to give him a blank check.
No, yeah, well, no, not the hangovers. I don't think that determined anything. But the first movie made over $1 billion. It was their only, success.
The
in the
first
past.
3 hangovers made some money,
They made,
and then
were they even Warner Brothers though?
They might have been. But then Joker also makes money. And then, you've got a track record of a guy that's made films that have made them money.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's the reason. Like, it was like a desperation on Warner Brothers' part where it's like, you just do anything.
Do anything.
You clearly know what you're doing. Do anything. And then Joaquin Phoenix had that dream.
And then, because production started December 2022, which is, I think, I could get the timeline wrong, but like maybe a month after James Gunn took over. And there is an interview quoted where they say it's more of a Warner Brothers film than a DC film.
Yeah, I get that sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think that they would have been like to what's his name? The guy you just said, the DC guy, James Gunn. Yeah, they would have been like to James Gunn. Just stay out of the way of Joker 2 because it's Todd Phillips and he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And I did read that Gunn saw an early cut of the movie and passed on notes,
which would have been actively ignored.
Yeah, and the trivia that I saw said that Todd Phillips just completely ignored it.
Yeah, which is seemingly consistent because Christopher Nolan gave advice to the first film to change the ending,
which is so funny because his advice. It was Christopher Nolan outright saying, I'm pretty sure, yeah, just don't make the Joker carve a smile,
which
at the end of the first Joker.
He does in the end of the second.
Once Christopher Nolan is out, Todd's like, well, actually.
Which we just bullied about 5 minutes ago is a dumb choice to do. So
yeah, because it's dumb. It's stupid.
Christopher
Nolan was right.
Bradley Cooper was involved in the production company of the first one. He wasn't around to produce it. So that
really?
Yeah,
was Bradley Cooper in the first movie?
He wasn't, but he helped produce it. I believe with Todd Phillips, he had a production company, but they disbanded that. I'm going to assume Bradley Cooper was a little disappointed with the way Todd Phillips was going behind the scenes.
Oh, yeah. Again, then I think it's an ego thing where he's like, I've made art.
Yeah. Well, from what I have read, Bradley is particularly good with budgeting and keeping movies running and produced the way they should be. So then he's gone and the budget's inflated. Things are going out of control and Todd's just running away with it.
Yeah, that does make sense.
So he doesn't have anyone to check the budget, to check the plot line, to check anything.
And also obviously Bradley Cooper was part of the Hangover series as well.
Yeah,
which is the main component of that, really.
Yeah.
So they probably did have a pretty close relationship, and then Joker happened.
Yes.
Still a close relationship, and then it fizzled out.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, a lot of people have been arguing that Bradley Cooper is one of those like pretentious up and coming directors, but I like him because he loves film and he has ambition. Whereas Todd Phillips is a man that is pretentious because he wants to be seen as it.
I think it's more so he's pretentious because he had a success.
Yeah. But yeah, one's in it for the love of the game, one's in it for the love of the money.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. I that's the feeling I got from this movie, is that it was a director that thought, who genuinely thought that he had created art with this movie. Which I don't know what's more depressing or insufferable. I feel like that is more insufferable actually than just a guy that coming in and fucking shit up to fuck over Warner Brothers. I really don't think that's the case.
That would be the entertaining case.
It would be. It would be the Joker case, but it's not. We didn't get the Joker.
I think that initial opening weekend box office dropped and James Gunn was sitting there, hands in the air, just going, thank God. I don't have to have him involved with anything anymore.
No more fucking Todd Phillips.
He doesn't get a blank check. Todd Phillips isn't getting re-signed. James Gunn can do what he wants with his DC.
Yeah. It's a shame. I really don't think there needs to be a sequel in the first place. I think the first movie did a pretty good job. Also, a note on the first movie, which I was going to bring up tens of minutes ago, but at the end of the first movie, the Joker, Joaquin Phoenix, it doesn't end at the soundstage. He does go to prison.
He does go to prison.
But he also
wouldn't get it.
He kills people in the prison. Remember, he's like running around with blood stains following him? So that is like the full Joker. And then we hard cut to this movie and he's like fucking
a meek,
pathetic and meek
little,
yeah. Again, it's like so disjointed in that way.
It's just kind of a thrown together plot line to create some sort of drama. Needlessly,
you really could have had him fuck up shit for the start of start of this movie, just be a complete force of nature, and that's why Harley Lee is so interested in him in the first place.
Yeah,
and so you satisfy the crowd of people that want the Joker, And then through certain things that happen in the movie after that point,
Doubling
he
down,
realizes
yeah.
that, you know, Arthur Fleck has been lost in this. And it's like you could have like some really cool scenes where Arthur Fleck is like fighting the Joker personality basically and trying to reclaim
A musical
personality for
of
himself.
the Joker on one side, Arthur Fleck
Yeah,
on
like the devil on your shoulder.
singing to each other for
But this-
control of the body.
But after we have established and seen how much of a force of nature the Joker is.
if it had started off with him doubling down as that force of nature and like running rampant through the city with Harley,
Yeah.
and then you can throw in scenes of, you know, previous relations maybe he'd had with his other co-workers or people throughout the city, and then like it starts to break down and
like
get through the
Puddles.
persona.
Puddles could have been used in that way.
Yeah, it could have been something, but we got nothing.
Yeah, we got nothing. Nothing. Absolutely no style. Nothing interesting to really latch on to. Again, the messages in the movie were like
Very funny,
shallow. Yeah, that's what we got, was being able to laugh. It's not a movie I would recommend going and seeing in the sense of like a B movie kind of schlock where
No,
it's
B movie's
like
rewatchable.
well, yeah, like The Room or something. It's not like that tongue-in-cheek humor. It's more like
I would never watch this movie again, as I
No.
said at the start. But the first time was absolutely hilarious because it's just an absolute disbelief.
yeah, but I feel like would I recommend going and seeing it for that reason? I don't think so.
No, because if you've watched this or anything about the drama, you're aware of how bad it is.
Yeah.
Like going in, I knew it was apparently rated bad, and that was about it. If you know any details at all about the movie, it's not going to be
It's not
fun.
going to have the same impact. Plus, it's
Yeah.
also again like we were locked in there anyway. We were already seeing the movie, so you know
Yeah.
it was easy to make fun of it at that point. But like, would I recommend going and watching a 2.5-hour movie on the off chance that you might laugh the same as we did?
No,
No, probably not.
no. I mean,
That's such a long time.
I left that movie, and halfway through the movie, and maybe a quarter way through the movie, and a third of the way through the movie, I just kept thinking, I wish I was in the theater next door watching Transformers.
Yeah, yeah, that's it, right? Like there are funny moments in there that we can look back fondly now, but a lot of that movie was holy shit, I'm bored.
Yeah, there was a lot of boring parts, and like I am the kind of person where I can watch a movie and get kind of lost in the vibe and the music and the atmosphere and acknowledge like, hey,
There's
it's a bad movie, but I can get lost.
Yeah, there's
in
nothing
it.
there.
There was nothing there.
Yeah, no.
I did go from a dark little hallway to now I'm randomly in a jazz club, but it makes no sense.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of there watching it, waiting for it to end, and then there's 30 seconds in between that jazz club scene, and now there's another musical that makes no sense.
No sense at all. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend it.
The D cinema score makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it's
absolutely.
the first comic book film to get a D.
Maybe. Jesus, more than Morbius and Venom.
Yeah, it's rated lower than Morbius.
Oh my God,
Don't
that's
disparage
embarrassing.
Venom. I've not seen the
I haven't
films, but
seen
they're
it.
great.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. I don't think you would
I
recommend
wouldn't
it.
recommend it. There's
The-
nothing to recommend.
The 4-minute standing ovation at Cannes makes sense.
Yeah,
Apparently.
the pretentious fuck you. Like you had the audacity to premiere. Yeah, well, they didn't test screen it until I think the Cannes premiere was the
really?
first time the movie had ever been shown.
Probably should have test screened it.
Yeah.
I mean, but if you test screening it, like, what can you do at that point? All the scenes are probably shot. It's not something that would have come back as like the pacing's a bit off. This scene needs to be cut or something like that. This is like a foundational rework of the movie.
Well,
is required.
that's the problem is there was no testing with anyone
Yeah.
to see like which musical parts
It was
should be
unfettered.
rearranged.
It was unfettered freedom. Wouldn't recommend Joker Folie A Deux.
Wouldn't recommend
Has
it.
anyone made that joke yet? Folie A Deux.
Yeah, probably.
Damn.
Yeah, it's probably the first joke
Yeah,
you'd make
first
about
joke.
the movie.
Probably was made as soon as it was announced.
No, yeah.
Anyway, what does Folie A Deux even mean? Just two?
Something of two.
Do means two, so.
Fate of two or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
All right, that's gonna do it for this episode of Real Boys.
Thank
First
God.
episode, yeah. We'll only watch bad movies.
Yeah, please get me out of here.
Thank you to my co-host Connor, expert in the industry.
Absolutely.
He's been there since. How old were you? Like 16 when you first entered the industry?
16 when I entered the industry, made it out without any Weinsteins. No association.
As far as you remember.
As far as I remember.
Yep. Big thank you. We'll see you next time for the next episode of Real Boys. There was meant to be a proper set.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that if you guys like this episode. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.